Hey, it's Ben Wise from ZOAR Fitness, and today we're going to be going over split jerk airs when people miss out in front. Alright, so typically, or almost always, if you miss out in front consistently, it has something to do with your hips and the position of your hips and the dip and the drive. Alright, so there's two really errors that happen with people either setting their hips too far back or too far forward, and when they dip, then their hips get pulled in another direction. Right, so either one of those, both, regardless of what happens, where you set your hips in wrongly, it's going to shoot that bar out in front. So if you set your hips too far back, what happens is when you go to dip to get access to your quads and be able to drive, your hips slide forward in the bottom and then they come up out in front. And you kind of create this U shape with your hip. If you miss out in front because you start out in front, you are on your toes too much, and then when you dip and drive, it's the same thing. The bar stays out in front, and then you miss out in front, or you chase the jerk. All right. So if you're someone who sets them too far back, you're way on your heels trying to counteract that, but in reality, what happens is the hips slide forward at the bottom, and then you drive it out in front. Same thing. If you start out in front, you stay on your toes too much. And then the same thing happens where you end up driving out in front, sort of like that. And you either have to chase it, bringing that back foot all the way in, or you just walk forward with the weight. All right. So a few things to think about that we can counter this with. Number one, set those feet and be able to feel kind of a mid-foot balance, right? Where you're not too much on your toes, not too much on your heels. You should have a slight bend in your hip. Chest up, that's your starting position. When you dip, think about starting out the dip a little bit slower and feeling that full bounce in your foot. And then when you go to change directions, do that aggressively and think about driving that bar up and back as you get there. So again, kind of regardless of what error you make, starting too far back, starting too far forward, either way, the solution is setting those hips, taking your time, doing pause reps, things like that, drills to reinforce the correct position on the way down so that you end up in the right position on the way up.